Assalamu alaikum. How do computers organize, save, and retrieve data or information from the hard disk drive? So in this video, we are going to learn that how do computers save or retrieve, because you have to save information and then you have to bring it back also. So you better know that where you saved it. So in this video, we're going to learn what is formatting. We will learn about file systems, what are tracks, sectors, blocks, and the file index. We call that FAT, meanings file allocation table, right? And then we also would like to know that what happens when you delete a file or something. How would the computer delete it? And lastly, we will learn that the operating systems, they only understand and work with certain file systems, okay? Not all of them. And we're going to learn what the file system is anyway. All right, so the computers, they like to organize things, right? They don't work like this, right? For example, if I ask you, where's the white pony? This one is yellow. Where's the white pony? So you can't find it, right? So instead, the computers would like to really organize things, right? In boxes and hangers and places where they know how to get it, right? And how to save it. Another example is like here. If you have to tell somebody that, bring me a red small spoon, right? So where are you going to find it? But if it is like this, right, then you can tell somebody that, where, let's say if you're looking for these small needles here, or you're looking for really, this certain kind of, spoon or something, or, right? You can say, okay, well, go there, and, the second column, right? This is second column, this is first column, the second column on top row, there are spoons. Just bring me one, right? Similarly, that, depending on what kind of data that you have, you can use different kind of organization or different kind of file system, right? So for example, look at this lady. So if you, let's say if this is a row A, this is a row B, A, B, C, and this is row D, and this is E. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So like these are columns, okay, and these are rows. So let's say if you're keeping your buttons over here, right, the buttons for the shirts, or maybe the needles over here. So this location will be right, C4. So you can tell somebody, hey, go to C4 and bring me a needle, right? So computers like to work in this fashion, okay? So now let's say how do computer organize information. We'll go back to the board here, and let's say okay. So let's say this is a hard disk platter, okay? The hard disk, if you remember, the hard disk saves data here, right? So this is a plain disk. There's no file system or anything on it. So the first thing that the computer does, what we call formatting, okay? Format. So format is a process like, making lines and digging things, right? So the first thing it does is create tracks. So let's say this is a track 1, track 2, track 3, track 4, track 5, track 6. Okay, let's make one more. Track 7. So now we have 7 tracks, right? Starting with this one. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 tracks. So how many tracks we have? 7. So now the computer further divides it. Okay, so divide the disk space into what we call sectors. Okay, here you go. So right now, so this one see this whole one sector. So this is called a sector, right? I should have used a different color here, but anyways, so this is, let's say how many sectors we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 sectors here, right? So again, you know, this whole thing, this pie is like a sector. And now within the sector, so these are sectors. Okay, sector, and we right now we have 8 sectors, right? Within the sectors, the smallest piece that you see here, like for example this one over here, let me change the color. So this is called a block. This is called a block. Again, you know, this will be another block. For example, you know, this portion over here, so this is like also like a block. All right, so this is how computer really change it formats the disk. Formatting mean like digging and, you know, making these lines, and the way it organizes information, making tracks, blocks, and sectors is called file system. So remember in the picture back there, I showed you that based on the information that you have, you want to create a file system accordingly, right? And so for example, in this example over here, if you have a file, right? Let's say you have a file here in this, here you have a file called ali.doc. Okay, the file is ali.doc. So can you tell me what is the location of the file? Location of file ali.doc. So this ali.doc is 1, 2, and 3. On third track, so you can say P3, okay, from here, right? 1, 2, third track, and 7 sector, okay, 7 sector, and the block is again 1, 2, 3, 4th block. So now comes to the index, what I was talking earlier, right? What is index? We call that fat, or this means file allocation table, file allocation table. So that this is an index that really also get written, one of the blocks over here on the hard disk. So it says that ali.doc is located on 374. 374 means track number 3, sector number 7, and block number 4. So the computer goes and saves it at the location and then updates his index or his file allocation table, and this is how it knows. And the other thing that I mentioned earlier was that how do computer delete information? So let's say if you wanted to delete this file, ali.doc. So computer does not go and really delete these files from here. What it does is that it only really just removes the entry from here. So it will really just remove the entry. Okay. The file still exists on the hard disk. So that's why it is very dangerous, right? If you have your personal information on it and you sold your computer or somebody stole your computer, the hackers can still really retrieve this file from the disk. Okay, there's programs called undelete or something, and they can really retrieve this information. So what we do then, that's why that whenever you sell computers, if there is important information on it, usually you really use these hammers and break them, right? Or use magnet. That magnets can destroy the data on the hard disk. You just break it and then give it back. All right, so now let's get back and where we started. So we wanted to know about formatting. Okay, so we know formatting and file systems and tracks, sectors, blocks, index. What happens when the data files are deleted? And the last was operating system. Okay. So this is there's several kinds of file systems. Okay. So for example, types of file system. You have called NTFS. You don't need to remember that, okay? There's also a FAT32. You have one called EXT, and there's also another one called extended FAT. You have high performance file system. Right? There's so many of them, right? And so for the operating system, some operating system can work with, for example, let's say the Windows can work with these 3 file systems, meaning the Windows operating system knows how to save and retrieve information. Linux uses EXT, right? Mac has its own file system. Mac can read from NTFS also and FAT32. So this and this can be Mac. But there's a file system that really you want to use that, let's say if you have a thumb drive and you want to save some information and you want to move information from a computer A to computer B using this thumb drive. So you need to then format the thumb drive. Formatting, again, I told you that formatting means that you're installing a file system. You're organizing, creating these rows and columns and blocks and sectors, right? So you want to use EXT FAT, right? Again, you want to use extended FAT file system, because this file system is compatible with the Linux operating systems, Windows operating system, and also with the Mac operating system. All right, so I think today for this video this is enough. I'll make another one to